Hi, I'm Melinda Hammond, and I'm going to talk about my first intercultural interaction with Carlo Dorve. Um, for this interaction, I decided that we would cook together because this would be something that I could host by bringing a recipe for a dish that is genuine to my family's heritage. Much of my family is Eastern European and Jewish, so I decided to make kugel, which is a noodle dish, and I also asked Carlo to share a recipe from his culture so that we could both learn about each other. So while I was hosting the idea, it could go both ways, and he could also feel comfortable knowing what he was doing, and there would be food that he would like. I think cooking is fun. I like to cook, and I asked Carlo if he did as well, and he said he does. So I thought it would be a positive experience, and it would give us a chance to talk while we were doing something else. So it was a more comfortable environment, and allow for a route to discussing what our family homes were like and what it's like growing up. During our cooking time, it was a community kitchen in the dorm, and two Japanese girls happened to come into the kitchen, and they tried our food too because we made a lot extra, and it was really fun. We all ended up teaching each other different words in our languages. Carlo and I discussed the difference between different kinds of Creole and actual French. He says that his schooling system was like French schools because of colonization, and I learned a lot more about Haiti than I thought I would. It was actually a really interesting conversation. And I talked about my family too. Before this interaction, I was nervous that Carlo would think I was just using him because we had talked a couple times before, but I felt like just out of nowhere I texted him and asked, hey, could you help with this project because you're from a different country, and I just felt awkward about that. Like, the only reason, it wasn't true, but it seemed like the only reason I wanted to hang out with him was for this project. So I explained that concern to him, and he said it was fine, and I wasn't really excited about doing the project. It was a lot of time on a weeknight. But while we were cooking, I was actually having a lot of fun, and the learning about culture was a lot more genuine than I expected it would be. It wasn't forced, like I just was asking questions for something to say. I was actually really wanted to know the answers, and there were a lot more differences, I think, than I expected. Carla talked about how in Haiti, a lot of people speak French Creole in general in their daily lives and at home, but then if you go to a business setting or in school, you are more respected if you speak formal French, which I thought was interesting. He kind of made the comparison to speaking formal English here, but it's not really the same. I mean, of course you wouldn't use a lot of slang in a classroom setting or something like that, but I don't think there's as much distinction. Sometimes he wouldn't know a word, but I could, he would either say, like, try to say it in English and it would be wrong, or he wouldn't know and he could say it in French, and then I could know what he was talking about, which was cool. I were kind of able to communicate that way, and we talked about literature, which I thought also was fun. The fables of De La Fontaine. I've read part of them in French, and he studied them in his French school, and said he wants to read them in English. So I felt like we were kind of going both making accommodations to the other's culture and learning and both wanting to know more about the opposite side. After the interaction, I was really happy and excited and actually looking forward to talking to Carlo again and reflecting on it. I think I should have kept a more open mind about this project. I just thought it would be kind of silly, and it wasn't awkward at all. I didn't feel awkward, but I did learn a lot about Carlo's culture, and the Japanese girls were a very interesting addition. Something that stood out was at one point they were talking about their English language skills, and what I asked what their majors were, and one was majoring in English and literature, and she told me that, and they asked if I understood what she said, and I did, and I guess she had been practicing the word literature for a bunch of time that day, so they were really excited. The other girl was majoring in law, and that was also difficult to say, so I helped them learn how to pronounce words, and they were really excited when I said that they could communicate and that I understood what they were saying, and I think they felt a little awkward. I didn't, but I think it was a little bit of a nervous situation for them to be speaking English, and they were very quiet at first, but as we were conversing and I told them I understood, they became a lot more open. And then one had actually studied French for a year, so that was fun. Like, we just had all kinds of languages going on. I love languages. Something else that stood out was Carlo went to go get plates so we could store the food, like disposable dishes, and the girls and I cleaned up the kitchen and washed things, and it was just really fun working together, and I feel like that's something that we could all understand just fine, and help each other out in kind of mutual understanding with no confusion. So I think that just shows that there's common ground, and if you all find something where you're doing something to work together, it can kind of put everyone at ease, whether it's cooking or cleaning, and then that opens the doors to have good discussion about things that might not be as easy to talk about.